Hello, this is Mark Dykstra 36, and today I'm going to show you how to build this Lego pistol. Shoots rubber bands, and it's semi-automatic, so it fires one at a time. Okay, parts that you're going to need. Well, first of all, you're going to need rubber bands. I got my rubber bands from an assorted pack of rubber bands, so they're all different sizes. The way I figured out what size they are is I put them on these pegs like that. See, these rubber bands are loose when there are only 5 holes in between the pegs. When there are 6 holes, then they're tighter. And that is the criteria that I used to figure out what size they are. If you use rubber bands that are the wrong size, they probably won't work in this gun. Okay, then there's these little rubber bands I used. Those are the smallest size that came in this pack, and I use those just to keep the trigger from getting stuck. Next, you'll need these beams. There are 3 15-unit beams. There are 2 11-unit beams and 2 5-unit beams. There are 2 5-unit axles, 2 3-unit axles. There are 7 3-unit pegs, and there are 12 2-unit pegs. There are also 12 axle pegs that have an axle on one side and a peg on the other end. You need these angle pieces. That one has 3 and whatever that is. And those ones are symmetrical. They have 4 on each end. Then there are these little 90-degree ones. These ones are half a unit thick, so I need 4 of them, even though I'm only using them in 2 places. And you need these pieces. I don't even know what those are called. You need these bushings. You need 2 of the bushings. And you need 3 of these pieces. Those are important. These are not so important, but you do need them. Okay, to start off with, you take 1 of your 15-unit beams. That's going to be your barrel. Onto that, you stick 1 to 3-unit peg. That'll be the front end of your gun. Next, you take 2 more 3-unit pegs, put them in the back. That'll connect it to the back part of the barrel. Now you take 1 of the 11-unit beams, and then take more of these pegs, put them in those 2 spots. So there are 2 holes in between, and then those 2 are next to each other. Now you take this piece, put it in like that. Then you take your other 11-unit beam and put it on. Now this is the main body of the weapon. Next, these 2 pieces make up the handle. So to attach them, you take another 2 3-unit pegs, stick them through there, and you attach these to it. Now, to provide support at the bottom of the handle, you put in 1 of these. Doesn't matter if the piece is exactly like this, but I just happen to have those pieces, so I use them. Now, you can see it's starting to look like a pistol. Next part you need to do is actually add on the firing mechanism. So you take these 3 and 1 of your 5-unit axles. Stick the 5-unit axle through the back. Hard to do this while I'm watching the camera. Okay. Now you put in those 3 in the far back of the pistol. Now you want to take these on the outer edge and pull them out a little bit so that it's loose. That will make your gun jam less often. Want this to spin more freely, and these need to be able to bend out a little bit. Next, you want to actually add on a trigger, so that your gun won't just shoot randomly. Okay, you put this axle right behind the white piece, and then onto it you add these ones. Sorry if I'm clumsy, it's because I'm looking at the camera. Now you add on those pieces. That will keep this thing from rotating forwards. See, now if you try to rotate it forwards while that's down, it won't work. Oh, it did work. Well, it won't do that when you're done with it. Pretty much doesn't move forwards. So you want it to be like that. So when you pull the trigger, then it spins freely, though it will only be able to spin one notch when you're done. That's the next part that you add on. You need to take these two, and on each one of them you take a blue axle peg and you put a bushing on the axle peg to make it thicker. Then you attach one of them like that, and one of them on the other side like that. Next you take your 2-unit pegs, put them in next to the bushings. So now you have these two parts. You put one of them on that side. Make sure that you put them right one on each side so the orange piece is pointing forwards. So now you have the main foundation of your trigger. If you try to push this thing forwards, when you pull the trigger, it will push forwards one and it will get stuck. Though, of course, you need to actually add on a trigger to it, which is the next part. Take your 3-unit axles, stick them through to the middle on each side, so it should almost meet in the middle. Then take 2 more 2-unit pegs, attach them next to the axles. Yeah, it's hard to do. Okay, here's an easier way to do it. Put one of them on the end of each 5-unit beam, like this. Then you put it through. It's like that. It may take a little bit of wiggling to do this. There. Once you have that in place, you're ready to build the actual trigger. These two on each side form the trigger that you pull. Oh! Yeah, make sure that you keep your axles in. If I just push it, then they sometimes fall out. Now you pull the trigger, but of course it doesn't pull forwards, so you need to push it forwards. That's why you need those little rubber bands. These 4. So, to set up those, you put 2 pegs on each side. And you'll need to put some pegs inside there too, right in front of the trigger. Now you put a rubber band, okay, you put the rubber bands in sets of 2, see I have 2 in my hand. Put those 2 around that peg right there, and then you connect it to the peg above it, closer one. Now you might be wondering why there are 2 pegs up there. And I'll show you right after I'm done with this. Okay, next you take these 2 pieces, because you don't want this thing to go all the way up. That's when it starts jamming. Put in these so that it won't be able to go all the way up. It'll run into those. Oh, I popped mine out. So you don't do that. Now you're still left with one of these pieces. That goes inside the trigger. You need to kind of pop the trigger out, and that just makes your trigger stronger. So now this gun is basically completed. All you have to do is load it up, which I'll show you how to do right now. Okay, you grab one of these, You put it like that. Okay, I'll go through that slower this time. Take one of those, put it on this nub in the back. You put it around the nub that's sticking up. And you put it in the front, bring it right over the tip of the barrel like that. Then what you do, after you've loaded 2 onto the first one, if you only load 1 onto the first one, it will jam. So then you rotate that thing back. Okay, I'll undo that. Pull the trigger to rotate it forwards. I'll show you what I did. I rotate this thing back, and then I pop that thing down. That rotates the whole thing back 1 shot. So basically, the first shot you put on is the last shot you fire. It's like a pile of clothes on the floor. The last one you throw it on is the first one you pick up. After the first one, you only load 1 on each time. So I can go through this more quickly. It does take a long time to load this gun. And you can actually load like 10 shots on this thing. I'm only going to load 6 this time, just for time's sake. Okay. Now, every time you pull the trigger, it shoots 1. Except for the last time when it shoots 2, obviously. Ah, it jammed. Every once in a while it still jams, but then you just push the trigger forwards. It usually unjams. Yeah, okay. If it's jamming too much, here's what you do. You take these in the back, and you pull them out farther. These ones. Those are often what's causing the jam. Not even sure what it was that time. Let me try that again. Yeah, normally after I've built these pistols for a while, they work better. So, it might just be that after the first few test shots it will start working more smoothly. And I do plan to make a video demonstrating this. Should have been a link earlier in the video if it's done. Way back at the beginning. I'll put another link in here. So if you don't want to watch me loading this and you just want to watch me shooting it, then you can go look at the demo video. Obviously I have 2 of these that I showed you at the beginning of the video. Here's another one. I'll show those both in the demonstration video. Okay, I'm only loading 5 shots. Okay, that time it worked pretty well. See you later.